Good afternoon. So today I wanted to talk a bit about royalties and how they're collected, how they're distributed, and issues that you can have with your royalty catalog. So a few months ago, I was contacted by a company in England. They are called uh, Air State, and they had found potential royalties on my behalf that had not been collected yet by my PRO. And so, as you write music and you start getting royalties, first of all, it's amazing to get royalties. But then, after a certain time, you're wondering if you're actually getting all the royalties you're due. And one of the most contentious issues in intellectual property is the collection of income for creators, for content creators. And specifically, as this relates to composers, we get royalties from a variety of sources. Most of mine are from media. And so, as a media composer, I'm always looking at my royalty statements and I get to see where the money's being collected from. And then I'll see strange things on my royalty statements, such as timings that seem to be different than the original cue sheet timings, um, very small royalty amounts in really big territories where I know that a project I've worked on has aired significantly, yet the royalty income doesn't seem to be corresponding to those particular showings of that show, whatever it is, or that movie, or that project I've worked on. And so there's this issue that starts to arise in what happens when your money's not collected, because the PROs are collecting money, they're just not distributing it to you. And what happens to that money? Well, usually after several years, that money gets reverted back to the PRO, the Performing Rights Organization, and you don't actually get any money. So if you're getting money, if you're a BMI writer, for example, and you have a film that's being distributed in England, let's just say, and you're not getting all of your royalty income, or it's being distributed in any number of countries, you only have a certain amount of time that you can go back and actually get that money. And so there are organizations that work on composers' behalves, and they take a cut of what they find, which I'm completely fine with, because for me to go through all of these PROs and to resubmit cue sheets and to sort of try to fight for royalties through sub publishers is just so much work that in some ways, it just makes sense to have an organization do it on your behalf. And this particular organization was offering to manage my publishing royalties. And I said yes, because I'm very curious as to how they'll do in terms of finding revenue for me that has not been collected. But I also need an advocate. And one thing, I think one of the biggest complaints that composers have, we don't have any advocates, for one. There's no union or guild for composers. There is, uh, there's nobody looking out for your royalty income. Um, so the structures that collect royalties do not act proactively on their creators' behalf in terms of making sure that their creators are being fairly compensated, in terms of making sure that their royalties are being collected. And I don't mean any offense to the performing rights organizations, which we know are the two predominant ones in America, BMI and ASCAP, but they're not going to go the extra mile to try and find money for you if it's money um, it's if it's money you're owed. And a lot of people presume that folks that are collecting royalties are making millions of dollars a year, and it's not for most of us. Most of us getting royalty checks, it's somewhere between $100 a quarter to maybe ten or $15,000 a quarter. That's more of the average range of what a creator's getting. And I know that's a very broad range, but in any respect, that money is your money. And so I was contacted by this organization, and they said they were going to help me find some of that money. And they sent me a spreadsheet and the usual suspects. And what I mean by that, the productions that seem to be being under collected were all up there. And they corresponded to what I already had in terms of my information. And so I was encouraged to see that they were really on top of my publishing, and hopefully they're gonna help me recoup some of that money. So I'll let you guys know how it works. I won't do too many videos on the subject, but if there's a really positive outcome as it relates to royalty search, I will let the channel know. And please like and or subscribe. Have a great day.